Hetal Chadwa, on behalf of Darshana Legal, would like to introduce our speaker for today's webinar. Our speaker for today's session is Advocate Swapna Pramod Kode. Swapna ma'am is a very young and dynamic lawyer with 13 years of experience. Ma'am has completed her LLB from GLC, after which she joined the chambers of Senior Advocate Ashok Mundargi sir. Um, Ma'am always has had a keen eye on the criminal practice, and ma'am is currently practicing at the Bombay High Court. Ma'am also has her YouTube channel and Instagram page named Darshana a Legal, where you can follow ma'am. So, ma'am, over to you now.
Hi all, good evening. Can everybody hear me? Hetal, I request you to admit all the participants who are in
Yes,
room because
ma'am.
they are unable to
Join
join
the
in.
meeting. Yes, ma'am.
So before we start, I would say that I hope all of you are fine and safe at home. And please mute your audio, please. Dear friends, it is a request, please mute your audios. Friends, please mute your audios. I hope everybody can hear me. Can you hear me? I hope the participants can hear me. So I'm starting.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Yes. So before we start, let us refresh what did we see last time. Last time on the first lecture, I had delivered a lecture about criminal complaint, and we had discussed that complaint is of two types. One private complaint and second is the FIR. We had completed till registration of FIR. What after registration of FIR is today's topic that is investigation and charge sheet. Now, investigation and charge. Let's see who is authorized to investigate the FIR. The police officer is authorized to investigate the FIR as per section 157 of the Criminal Procedure Code. Now, after Criminal Procedure Code sets provisions, then only the police officer has to investigate the matter. Now, first thing what he has to do after recording FIR is within 24 hours, he has to inform the same to the magistrate without any deal. Nulli versus State of UP, it has said that a delay has to be inordinate, whereas the Honorable Supreme Court on 23rd May has stated in Umbar Singh versus UP that mere delay under section 157 of the CR cannot be fatal for prosecutions. Now, what does the officer do after taking the investigation in the hand? Firstly, within 24 hours, he has to inform the magistrate, that is the local magistrate in whose jurisdiction the police station is. And second, as per the provisions of section 168 of CRPC, he has to inform the officer in charge. After the entire investigation is completed, a report under section 173, that is the final report, has to be submitted to the magistrate. Now let us see in details it is. Under 150, what is an order of investigation authorized? What is an order of investigation and who is authorized to give this order? As section 159 of the Criminal Procedure Code, a magistrate is authorized is authorized to give authority for investigation. But it has stated that in SN Sharma versus Bipin Kumar by the Supreme Court that yes.
Ma'am, your voice is breaking. So,
Now can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it's breaking in between, so it's not very clear to all the participants.
There is some network fluctuation which is happening, and that is the reason the voice is breaking. Hetal, please keep admitting, sending me messages to admit them. Members, I request you, your queries will be addressed in the last 15 to 20 minutes. Right now, please not a query. With regard to the queries, we will tell you in the last 15 to 20 minutes. Am I clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I clear now? Okay. So am I clear? Am I clear now? Can everybody hear me?
If you can hear ma'am clearly, just put a thumbs up in the chat box or write a yes.
Oh, yes, yes. There are some people who can hear me and some cannot. Later on, this video will be uploaded on YouTube later on after a few days. So those who have missed some parts can see that also. Okay. Now let us see who we were here on who is empowered to give you the orders of investigation. Under section 159, the magistrate is empowered to give orders of investment. Now what happens is if the investigation is beyond the jurisdiction of the magistrate or beyond the city or beyond the country, that is under section 166A. Under section 166A, if the accused is beyond on the jurisdiction of the court or beyond the country, then or request should be given by the officer. Then the letter of request must be given to the by the officer to the concerned magistrate or the court that I need to investigate this particular crime, and hence please grant me permission. Upon receipt of such a letter, the magistrate or the criminal court will write in writing to the concerned officer of the state or the country wherein the accused resides, and upon receipt of the permission, then only the can investigate into the accused. So in who can investigate and who can issue orders for investigation. Now let us see what is the procedure with regards to and which accused can be arrested by the officers. As per section 41 of the code, the officer can arrest the accused without warrant in certain cases. That is where there is reasonable suspicion that the accused has committed certain crime and he can repeat the crime. Secondly, he is in possession of property which relates to the crime. Thirdly, he is a proclaimed offender. Fourthly, if he is in possession of some suspected property, then or that is some arms which could be deterrent to the country. Fifth person, any person who has committed an offense and is knowingly repeating the same thing, the arrest or are orders of if there are orders issued to people, to the police to arrest a particular person or persons who are specified under section 109 and 1 of the criminal procedure code. Now let us see what does section 41A states. Just pausing here for a minute. Hetal, please accept. There are about 42 people. Please accept them in the waiting room. No.
Hello.
Can you please accept them in the waiting? Okay. Now we have seen section 41. Now let's go to section 41A. Section A states that the officer has to issue notice to a person to attend or join investigation, and the person on receipt of this letter has to join investigation. Once if the person joins the investigation and the officer feels that the said person may not abscond, then the officer may not under the arrest. In Arnesh Kumar's judgment, the Honorable Supreme Court has categorically stated that arrest casts severe repercussion on a person and his life can be devastated. Hence, wherein the offenses are not serious, then the officer is mandatory and it is compulsory upon him to send a notice to the concerned accused as per the provisions of section 41A to attend investigation. Now, what are the offenses in which the officers can send notice? Now, as per section 41A, the offenses who are punishable below 7 years, only in them there can be, but even after issuing notices, if at all the person doesn't attend the investigation, then the officer can arrest him. Now this is with relating to accused. Now let us see what is witnesses. The police officer starting or commencing investigation of a particular matter first channelizes investigation. His investigation is channelized basically two cases, whether the case is based on eyewitnesses or if the case based on circumstantial evidences. Now eyewitness, first let what are eyewitnesses? Eyewitnesses are persons who have actually seen the happening of the crime, who are the witness of the crime, or who by passing by have also seen commit the happening. For example, I am being assaulted by B. I am being assaulted by B. While assaulting me, C sees this. C is a witness to the crime. Secondly, who is an eyewitness? An eyewitness can also be a person who himself is injured. These kind of witnesses are eyewitnesses, not circumstantial evidences. Circumstantial evidences are circumstances which will join various circumstances and lead the officer for investigation of a crime. For example, last seen theory, blood found on the clothes of a person, any belonging of a deceased or a missing person is any belonging of a deceased is found with the accused. Then these are various circumstances, and these witnesses are supposed to depose before the police officer as per the provisions of section 160, as per the provisions of section 161 of the Criminal Procedure Code. Now, what does section 161 of Criminal Procedure Code say? Section 161 of Criminal Procedure Code says that an investigating officer can issue notice to a witness to attend police and depose before him. This officer has to write down what the person states, and there the police officer has to write down what the person states and thereafter read it out to him. Statements under section 61 CRPC are to be signed. Now, who cannot be called to the police station? Any male who is below the age of 15 cannot be called to the police station, or any woman cannot be called to the police station as a witness is that she wants to protect her identity, and then in this condition the police officer is duty bound to visit her and record her statement. Now what happens if you do not comply to a summons or a notice under section 161 of CRPC? Under section 161 of CRPC, if you do not comply with the notice given by the police, that is an offense under section, and that is an offense under section 174 of IPC, which can obtain 1 month imprisonment, and the same can also be fined up to 500 or both. Now, what it is very essential to attend the investigation as examination the witness is a very crucial part, as it would corroborate to the statement given to the police officer, and it will strengthen the case. Now it states that witnesses statements as per the provisions of section 161 have to be recorded as early as possible, because any delay might embellish their memory, and secondly, if at all they are not available, then it would be a hindrance to the prosecution case. Just pausing here for a moment, I request everyone to please switch off their videos and mute their audios, and please the host, I request you to accept people from the waiting room. Please accept them and please mute videos and audios. We have reached what happens if there is a delay of 10 days in recording a statement by the investigating officer. If there is a delay of 10 days by the investigating in recording a statement, then it is mandatory and it is the duty of the police officer to give reasons for his delay. Otherwise, his case will be strengthened. The statements, again, please note down the statement given before the officer. The statement given before the officer not to be signed. because they will later on be used for contradiction. For example, I'll give you an example of contradiction. I saw Mahesh running with a knife covered with blood from her home. This can be contradicted by saying कि it is not true to say that you saw Mahesh running from her house with a knife covered with blood. Understood? So statements under 161 are recorded of the witnesses and they are essential part of charge sheet. Next comes statements under 164 of CRPC. Now, what are statements under section 164 of CRPC? There are certain statements which are required to be made before the magistrate, and second are confessions. Now, first let us see what are the statements that are required to be recorded before the magistrate. Now, certain statements which are recorded before the magistrate, either statements of minors, burn, rape victims, because the presence of mind of these victims or witnesses is first put to test and stated that they are in a position to depose, and the magistrate records their statements. Now, confessions. What are confessions? Any accused who wishes to make a confession before a magistrate, he can give it in writing to the police officer. The police officer would take the writing to the magistrate, obtain permission, schedule a date for recording a statement under section 164. But before recording the statement under 164, the accused has to be made aware that the statement given by him under section 164 can be used against him as an evidence. The accused has to be made of all rights. Now understand, an accused gives a letter to the police officer that I am willing to make a statement under section 164. The magistrate gives permission and the accused is produced before the magistrate. What happens if the accused refuses to give the statement? Will he be punishable? No. There is no offense that can be attracted against the accused if he refuses to give a statement under section 164. Magistrate can record confessions only if the accused is willing. Now, which magistrate can record the statement? Firstly, any magistrate can record the statement. An accused who's making a confession or is desirous to give some fact under confession can give it at any point. For example, the police investigating party has taken an accused out of state or out of the city to investigate a particular matter. At that particular time, the accused shows his desire to give a confession. That time, the local magistrate can be contacted and his statement can be recorded. Now, there is one thing. What happens if a confession is given before an unauthorized person? Whether that can be valid. In Sasi versus State of Kerala, that is exactly in Sasi versus State of Kerala, the Supreme Court has categorically stated that any confession which is made before an unauthorized person. Now, who is an unauthorized person? That is a person who is not a magistrate. If at all any confession is made before a person who is unauthorized to record the confession, that can be admissible only if that unauthorized person is capable of deposing before the court. I'm pausing here for a minute. I request all of you all to kindly please mute your video and audios. There are certain audios which I can continuously hear. It is a request before I start again. Friends, please. There are some
Sunita
videos.
Sabne, please switch off your mic.
Please switch off your mics. Friends, please switch off your mics. I hope everyone has switched off their mics now.
Sunita Sabne, I please request you to switch off your mic.
He's come. Yes.
Madam, please switch off your mic.
केला मॅम स्विच ऑफ.
Ma'am,
अनम्यूट करा प्लीज तुम्हाला स्वतःला अनम्यूट करा.
yes, ma'am. Now you are good to go.
Are we good to go? Hetal,
Yes,
please
yes.
keep checking on the waiting room. There are many people waiting.
Ma'am, you can continue now.
I will continue. We were under the confessions made to an unauthorized person. Now understand, when a confession is made to an unauthorized person, then that unauthorized person, if he is capable to depose before the court, then that can be admissible in evidence. So now we have seen accused, we have seen confessions. Let us move to the most important part, that is Panchanama. What is Panchanama? Is Panchanama defined in Criminal Procedure Code? No. No book of law can give you the definition of Panchanama, but you will find the reference in section 100 of Criminal Procedure Code. Panchanama in short means a document. Hello? Can you hear me? There are messages coming.
Ma'am, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Panchanama in short means document that is relating to search. That is document which is relating to search. Now one thing, when police party comes to search a particular person, that is a particular person whom they want to arrest as per the provisions of section 47 of the provisions of section 47 of CRPC, and a person refuses to search, then firstly the police officer, if they have a search warrant signed by a magistrate, then they can break open, and still if there is refusal, then that person can be booked under section 187 of IPC. Police officer under 93, 95, 97 and 98 CRPC have the power to Panchanamas. Panchanama is an essential part of criminal investigation. Now, what can be in Panchanama? Panchanama is required to collect evidence. For example, whatever is required to support the first information report, from example, the spot, the crime scene, identification of the accused, arrest of accused. These are the things can be included in Panchanama. The origin of Panchanama can be seen in ancient Indian judiciary system, that is big, or even justice system. In a village, when an issue used to arise, the village people used to elect 5 elderly people or 5 people who are known, and those people used to discuss and record certain things in writing. These writings were known as Panchanama, and hence the proceedings are now known as Panchanama. Now the question is, does Panchanama have a specific format? No. Panchanama does not have a specific format, but its essential ingredient is that it should have 2 panchas. The 2 panchas have to be independent persons, that is, they have no connection with the crime, they have no relation with the accused, and they have no relation with the police, and they have no relation with the victim. If there is no eyewitness, to a particular case, then the Panchanama will have immense importance, and the Panchanama needs to be drawn very, very carefully. If a witness, that is a witness, wants to recollect, then as per section 159 of the Criminal Procedure Code, he can be allowed to recollect while deposing in the court. Now let us see, what does Panchanama generally. The Panchanama would generally have name of the panchas, time and start of the time and end of the Panchanama, commencement, the date and the place, the persons who are present, the signatures and details of the seizures. Now let us see what are the kinds of Panchanama. There are 5 kind of Panchanama, that is spot, seizure, inquest, memorandum, and arrest. I repeat: spot, seizure, inquest, memorandum, and arrest. Let us go with the spot. Now, spot Panchanama, I would like to explain you by giving an example. For example, a murder is committed in A room. The police are supposed to visit the A room on receipt of the information. The police first have to call two independent people and inform them that such and such a crime has been placed and crime has been committed at so and so place. We are supposed to go and inspect the place, obtain the willingness of those two people. Understand, obtain the willingness. It is very essential that these people give their willingness to act as a panchas. Now, when the panchanama, that is the panchanama part or the party reaches the spot, first thing what they have to do is they have to write the date and time on which the panchanama is being done and starting. For example, in Maharashtra, generally the panchanamas are recorded in Marathi, except the ones of the Narcotics Bureau, because Narcotics Bureau is something who has their head office in Delhi and the all officers come from Delhi. Now what happens? They reach the spot. They enter a room. Firstly, they have to write that we have entered the room in the presence of so just, and what is the first, the description of the room, that is how many square feet the room is and what is it. Then after the description of that, they have to write what all is there in the room. Suppose a cupboard, a mirror, a suitcase, a bed, all minute things have to be written. Then they have to say, at this direction of the room we have seen that so offense had committed, wherein suppose they see the body. After they see the body, they have to mark over the body and send, and then proceed for inquest panchanama. I will come for inquest panchanama later on. Now after on that spot, they should see what can they collect. So they will write from the spot, either if they have collected weapon or blood or dust or anything, whatever has been there in the room, they have to write. And if any incriminating material is found, the incriminating material has to be taken, packed, sealed, signatures of the panchas have to be obtained, and thereafter the panchanama ended. Now after the spot panchanama comes the seizure panchanama. Now the seizure panchanama is if anything has to be seized from the accused. This generally happens at the time of the arrest. Suppose an accused is arrested, that time it is said from the accused, at the time of the arrest we have seized whatever. From if anything is there, they have to write is what has been recovered from the accused, that is the seizure. That whatever it may be weapon, it may be money, it may be cards, it may be mobile phone, it may be clothes, anything. So panchanamas, the in which the panchanama on remains the same, only the types change, that is the spot, the seizure. After seizure, let's proceed to what is inquest panchanama. Inquest panchanama is suppose if there is an information that at a place and particular murder was committed, then police officers reach the spot and they have to the body for the postmortem. But before sending the body for the postmortem, along with the body, they have to send the inquest panchanama to the doctor. Now what will inquest panchanama contain? Inquest panchanama will contain the details of the person, whether male or female, roughly about the age, whatever would be the age, roughly what the person wearing, are there any injuries on the body, then if there are injuries, what kind of injuries. Now layman couldn't say what kind of injury, so it would be said a stab injury or a throw. Like example, if a rope is used to throttle a person and the person is on the fan, it would say when we entered the room, we saw the body was hanging by the fan with the rope. Now what rope has to be specific, whether it is a nylon rope or whatever rope, that has to be specified. After writing all the details, then the body is sent. Before sending of the body has to be written. Like for example, many times people commit crime, leave away, and the body is left at some place. Body is found after 3 or 4 days. Then they say we have found body in a decomposed condition, or there was foul this thing emitting from the body. All that has to be recorded. Now let us see what is memorandum panchanama. Memorandum panchanama we will find in section 25 and 26 of the Evidence Act. in Maharashtra, Memorandum Panchanama is known as Nivedan Panchanama. What is Nivedan Panchanama? Nivedan Panchanama is that when an accused in custody, statements officer that he is requesting to say something. It could be anything. He wants to give the weapon which he used in the crime, or he wants to show the mode of transport which he has seen in the crime, or he wants to say how he has committed the crime, or he wants to give the modus operandi of the crime. Then he gives a requisition to the police officer. Then he gives a requisition to the officer, and the police officer records his memorandum. After this would be the arrest panchanama. Panchanama is generally conducted at the arrest. The moment the accused is been arrested, at that time this panchanama is drawn. In the present panchanama, the information of the arrest is informed to the nearest relative of the accused. Normally it used to be informed in writing. Nowadays it is informed on the telephone, and the relative is called to the police station so that the arrest memo is handed over to the relative. Why is the arrest memo important? Now understand. Arrest memo is important because in case where people or the police are not able to complete the investigation within the stipulated time, then this arrest memo would be very essential to apply for default bail. Understand, in the absence of your arrest memo, it would be very difficult for you to apply for a default bail, because no police officer is going to admit your date of arrest if it is not on the paper. So every relative has to first give arrest memo to the accused, has to obtain from the accused and then submit it to the lawyer. This about the default bail I shall be dealing with you all at a later part. Now what has happened? We have seen section 47. If search party is not allowed, then police has a right to break into the search party. Now what is there is a rule called exclusionary rule. Now this exclusionary rule is not applicable in India, but it is applicable in United States. That is stated that which things there are certain things which are found during an illegal panchanama. Now there is no illegal panchanama or illegal raid in India, because no police officer would say that the raid was illegal. Hence the exclusionary rule is not applicable in India. After this panchanama is done, the law regarding to product documents and things. Production of documents would be found under section 91 of the criminal procedure. Under section 91 of a criminal procedure, if a police officer or a magistrate thinks that a particular person is an author of document or is in possession of a particular document, then the police officer or the magistrate shall write or give notice to the person under section 91 of the criminal procedure code to produce the document, and it is for that person to produce the document on record. Now section 91 does not apply to accused, because a magistrate or a police cannot order an accused who is in custody cannot order an accused who is in custody to submit the documents, because this would be self-incriminating and which is not permitted under Article 23 of the Indian Constitution. In Uday Kumar versus State of Karnataka, it was held that documents that are not a part of charge sheet can also be relied on by the prosecution under section 91 in order to make their case strong. Understand, in B.L. Kumar, lay down the case law. In B.L. Uday Kumar versus State of Karnataka, it was held that documents which are not a part of charge sheet can also be admitted by the prosecution under section 91. Now what is section 92? Under section 92, if at all any document or anything is in custody of a magistrate, anything is in custody of a postal officer or officer, post officer or a telegram officer, then a magistrate can order the postal authority to send the documents to the court or send the parcel to the court, so that that can be used for evidence in the court. Now we have seen the so base and investigation. So investigation is who has the power to investigate, that is police officer. What can investigate, how investigate. Now what happens on completion of an investigation? On completion of investigation, as per the provisions of section 173, the police officer has to file a closure report, that is a report which compiles all his evidence which is collected, that is the statements, the panchanama before the magistrate, or in the form of charge sheet, that is a completion report or a closure report. Now section 173(2) states that what is essential that a charge sheet should have. Charge sheet should have 5 things compulsory. First is the name of the complainant, the details of the crime, 3, the witness, 4, the names of the accused, the status of the accused. Now what is the status of the accused? Whether the accused is arrested, in custody, or whether he has been granted bail. These are the details which are necessary. The report that if the police officer does not file a charge sheet, then he has to file the closure report. Now the closure report can be of 3 types, that is A summary, B summary, and C summary. Now let us see what is A summary. A summary is the case where the magistrate classifies the case, classifies that there is a case but nothing has been detected, that is accused has also not been found, or the stolen property is not found. Then the case is categorized as A summary. Now B summary. Now B summary is a summary where the final report submitted by the investigating officer results in acquittal of the accused, and police officer steps in the shoes of the complainant and files a malicious prosecution on the complainant. Now C summary. Now C summary is a case where the case is neither true nor false, and it is said that it was filed because of misrepresentation of facts. For example, a civil dispute was mistakenly taken as a criminal dispute, and that was filed before the court. The magistrate either can accept the summaries or can reject the summaries. Now let us see what is final report, that is charge sheet. Charge sheet is a document which is held for proving the accused's guilt. It contains all the evidence that have been collected during the investigation, and it indicates why the accused should be tried. So a charge sheet is basically a charge sheet is basically the entire material by the investigating officer. Now, why the investigation has to be done precisely? Because one mistake can acquit the accused, and one mistake can convict wrong person. What is the time limit to file the charge sheet? Where offences are punishable up to 7 years, the charge sheet has to be filed within 60 days, and which are above that, then the charge sheet has to be filed within 90 days. Now what happens if the charge sheet is not filed within the stipulated time? If the charge sheet is not stipulated time, then the accused are entitled for default bail. Now what is default bail? As per the provisions under section 162 of CRPC, the entitled for default bail. What is default bail? That the police officers have not completed investigation in time, and hence should be default bail given to the accused. What if the investigation is not been completed within the stipulated time? And it's the provisions of section 173(8) can approach the magistrate and seek permission for investigation, but generally the investigation has to be completed within 6 and 90 days as per the crime. After filing the charge sheet, what would the magistrate do? He can do three things. Firstly, he can accept the report and take cognizance if he is supposed to do so. Supposed to do so means there are certain wherein it is not supposed to take cognizance, and that time he will have to make a reference to sessions, example, offences and POSCO, special acts, special enactments. Then the sessions judge, that is the special court, shall take cognizance of this and then secondly, the magistrate may disagree with the report, drop the proceeding. He is, and thirdly, if he is not satisfied with the investigation done by the police officer, then he can order further investigation. Now, section 57 of the CRPC says that how all this was into investigation by how investigation is committed. Let us now see what are some rights of accused. Section 57 of the Criminal Procedure Code says that no person can be detained with beyond 24 hours without a warrant. Now, what happens if the investigation is not completed within 24 hours? If the investigation is not completed within 24 hours, then the investigating officer has to in writing inform the magistrate and produce the accused and take permission for remand to interrogate the accused. This is also the permission for remand and everything is seen in section 167 of CRPC. Remand cannot be beyond 14 days. If the investigation is not complete within the stipulated period, then remember there is always a provision of default bail. Now, investigation and charge sheet are the most important procedure. Investigating and charge sheet are the most important procedure, and hence they have to be dealt carefully because there are some pros and there are some cons. Now, what is the evidentiary value of statements which are given under section 161 of CRPC before the police officers? Can there be this be a substantial evidence? This cannot be substantial evidence. Reason being, this cannot be a substantial evidence. Reason being, whatever is said before a police officer is not signed, it is not on oath, and it is not said before the court of law, and hence the same can be contradicted and used for, it can only be used for corroboration. Now that we have seen all this thing, I have summed up between investigation and charge sheet and given up maximum details